you've got to really know, first of all, who's your competitors. And I think a lot of businesses forget that. They think, oh, I'm going to start a coffee shop, but they don't actually really have a good look at, seriously, who are their competitors. So I had a look at my competitors, and they were all big, beefy men with hairy forearms, and they drove four-wheel drives, and they used to say to the producers, yeah, mate, I can get you that location, no worries, yeah, it's in the can, no worries, and all of that sort of bullshit. And I thought, well, I could actually be like that, because I wear boots quite well, and I could drive a four-wheel drive, and I could work on the hairy arms. But then I thought, no, I'm going to set myself apart, and all location managers are men. I'm going to be very feminine in the way I approach this job. So that was the first thing I did, and that's lesson number 3, is set yourself apart. Look at your competitors, and then set yourself apart. The next thing you need to know, and Mike gave me this advice, is have a look at your customers and your potential clients and really find out who they are. Not assume or guess, but really have a good look at who they are. And I had a look at who was really going to employ me, and they were producers, and they happened to be women who were middle-aged generally. They were very stressed women that were told that they needed to shoot an ad in a week's time at a certain budget. And I looked at that and thought, I think a middle-aged woman could relate pretty well to a middle-aged woman compared to these big beefy blokes. So I really played on that too, of that connection I had with my potential clients. So I combined that really, and that's probably a secret too, is if you can combine knowing who your competitors are with who your customers really are, that will really set you apart, and that will find your niche. So in marketing myself, I use that competitor who my customer is. A lot of people, when they market themselves, say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm good at, and you'll employ me because this is me and my skills are this. And I took the opposite approach and actually spoke to the customer and said, and I didn't ever mention, besides not knowing anything about the film industry, I didn't mention who I was or what I could do. I just spoke to the customer. So my marketing was all about, I know you're a stressed, middle-aged woman producer. You've got to hand in something within the week. You've got to present things to client tomorrow. You're under the pump. You've got to have things within a budget. I can solve that problem for you. So the only time I mentioned myself was how I could solve their problem. And that was very effective in gaining support from that customer group. So that in marketing, don't forget, and again, it's not rocket science, but no one wants to hear about you. The customer wants to hear about themselves and what you can do for them. So I started my business, but of course what I decided to do was if a production company wanted a pink girl's bedroom to film a Barbie ad in, what location managers do normally is they go, right, I'll get that for you in a week, and they hop in their four-wheel drive and they go knock on people's doors and say, have you got a pink girl's bedroom? Get it now. And that's not a very efficient way of doing it. So I decided I would do what some Sydney companies do, is build a database. So you can have a database of locations and just hand it to them within an hour. And that's another important little lesson for entrepreneurs. You don't have to be a creative thinker. To start a successful business, you don't have to come up with your own business idea that no one has ever thought of. You need to be a creative listener. You need to see what other people are doing, grab their ideas, twist it around to suit your environment and your customer, and then present it as your business idea. So don't feel as an entrepreneur that you have to come up with something that's never been seen on the planet before. So I thought I'm gonna run a database, and I'll be able to give these stressed middle-aged women a location within an hour of them asking. There was only one problem though, and this is for any business. I needed time to build that database. So it took me a good 12 months of building a database of homes and locations. And with any good business, you're not going to be earning any money in the short term. So I had to go to my family and friends and say, this is what I'm doing, believe in me, can you lend me some money in the meantime, and I promise that I'll pay you back as soon as I make some money. And it's the same old story, and I'm sure some of you have done that already. So my mum and dad and my brother were able to pay me a very small salary, as in a loan, and for about a year all I did was just build my database until I had something that I could really offer to my customers. So don't ever expect that if you're going to go into business that you're going to start making money straight away. Another point too is you often read about these entrepreneurs who say, I started my business on $1 and now look at me, I'm a millionaire. That's bullshit. You cannot start a business on $1. If you actually delve into those businesses a bit more, you'll find out that his mum sewed the satchels for 7 days a week until 3 o'clock in the morning, and his dad did the deliveries, and his sister did his books, and his brother gave him free rent in the warehouse. So there's always got to be an investment in a business. You can't just... I suppose there's a few examples of businesses that start on nothing, but be prepared to invest in your business to start with, whether that comes from the skills from your friends and family or buildings or resources that you rely on. So I built my database and then started to make my way in this business. And again, faking it till I made it, being a sponge and picking up lots of information along the way. I've been doing this now for 5 years, and I would say I didn't make a profit until I was in my 3rd year. And that's pretty typical of a lot of startup businesses. You won't see any money above the line for the first 3 years because you've got debts to repay and a lot of startup costs, and also just reputation. And something interesting that did happen, sorry, the cold weather's getting to my nose. At first I was going to be everything to everyone, and I was going to provide locations for feature films and short films and students and TV series and documentaries and TV commercials. But something very important in business that you should know is to just do what you love and do what you're best at. And I found that my personality suited TV commercials best. And as soon as I decided, well, fuck it, I'm just going to do TV commercials, my profits went. So by narrowing my customer base down to a quarter, my profit margins went through the roof. And I guess a lot of people find that in their business too. Don't be afraid to narrow your customer base down, because then you're really fine-tuning what you're good at, and people will know you for that, and your profits will do really well. Where to in the future? This is not a company that I can build an empire from. Sometimes I'll employ freelance location scouts to work for me, but I don't have any desire to, it can't really grow, and that's a downfall of this particular business, is I can't really build it.